Welcome to the third phase of the self-realization journey. In general, this phase is about realizing and accepting that you are going to move in and out of states of joy, peace, love, and ease, and into lower emotional states such as confusion, doubt, depression, and anxiety. Knowing and accepting this will help you move through these lower states with as little stress as possible. When those lower emotional states arrive and feel like they consume you, some part of your mind has to be aware that you have done this before. You can handle it. Know there's a lesson for you to learn. You got this. If the pain is too intense and you cannot see the lesson because you are consumed with mental struggles, please find ease. Anything. Organize a drawer, move a lamp, wash the dishes, have a bath. Go for a walk in nature. Do whatever brings you a smidge or more of ease. Being creative in a way that releases energy is very beneficial. Squishing, pounding, and squeezing clay with no expectations to create anything is a wonderful option. The clay is strong enough to hold your emotions and can help you find ease and clarity on your next steps. I often like to use craft butcher paper on my wall, which I'm using in this video, although I usually use white craft butcher paper. I make scribbles, circles, or do the infinity symbol over and over again, wearing the paper thin until I know what to do next, either in the image or in life. Think about what material best represents your emotions right now. Is it crayon? Do you feel like a childlike presence? Or paint, pencil crayon, which would offer a lot of definition? Or maybe oil pastels? Is there something sticky and heavy within you? Repetitive motions are calming, release energy, and help you to find clarity. Anything physical and that has or offers a sensation is a wonderful resource during these low times. When your higher consciousness is flowing through you, people will notice a change. You will be happy. A feeling of oneness with the universe will flow through you. Your problems seem to have dissolved. Eventually, though, the higher states of mind releases its energy and the lower state of mind returns, and your problems can consume you. A quote from Dr. Roberto Asciuoli. He says, "The personality reawakens and asserts itself with renewed force. All the rocks and rubbish which had been covered and concealed at high tide emerge again." He goes on to say, "The light of the self shines on the impurities and brings them to the consciousness of the individual to facilitate his process of working them out. Although this process can be, at times, a laborious one, it is a basic aspect of a reliable and permanent channel of contact between the individual and his transpersonal or superconscious nature." End quote. As a note, Asciuoli uses the term transpersonal, superconscious, and higher self interchangeably. Another quote from Dr. Roberto Asciuoli says that this process becomes clear if we look at the nature of a peak experience in terms of energies and levels of organization. Because of their synthesizing nature, the superconscious energies act on the personality elements in ways that tend to bring them to their next higher level of organization. End quote. In this quote, Dr. Asciuoli is referring to how much of your higher consciousness you allow in and how long you can sustain its energy. The positive sensations could last for hours, days, weeks, or months. It all depends on the intensity of the energy flowing and how long you and your higher consciousness can hold the energy. Asciuoli states there are 3 categories on how the higher self and your higher consciousness work through the transference of energy. Although you most likely won't fall solely into one of these categories, different aspects of your life may fit into one category more than other elements of your life. Here are Asciuoli's 3 ways that he predicts an individual will respond to the input and output of the energy from the higher self. Number 1. The energy from the higher self is strong enough and the individual is able to handle its energy to bring about ease and awareness, healing all their obstacles and making permanent changes to the personality. Number 2. In the second option, the higher self does not let in too much energy to protect the consciousness of the individual, or it could be that you are not able to let in all the energy of the higher self. But what is let in does make changes to the personality, only the changes are not permanent. The changes stay as long as the higher self is within you. Once the higher self leaves, then the personality returns, only now a higher expectation on who you can be remains in your mind, and you strive for this new level of being. Number 3. The third option is that the higher self only lets in enough energy to work with and amplify the parts of you that need to evolve. In this process, those aspects will be amplified, and if you know what is coming, you can work through these phases with better understanding. The energy comes in behind the scenes and highlights those parts of you that are blocking your personal and spiritual growth, so you will feel them more intensely and be able to deal with them. The big challenge is managing the release of the exalted state of being. It can be painful. Not the type of pain you feel when you stub your toe. It is a pain that I define as somatic, or in the fascia of my body, or perhaps it is in the aurora energy around and within me. If anyone out there has come to an understanding of this pain, please share your perceptions in the comments below. It is important to prepare yourself, or if you know someone going through this, that this pain can be intense and can cause psychological disturbances that can be mild to severe. The aspect of the personality that were targeted during this download from the higher self can be receptive to their calling and strive to their higher purpose, or they can rebel. When you rebel, you hold the pain longer, and this can cause more psychological suffering. As a personal example, for a year and a half, I was in a wonderful place mentally. I was content and joyful, passing compliments to strangers, offering to help everyone I could. All of my problems seemed to have disappeared, and I floated on a cloud. Then January of 2024 came around, and my higher self left me. My emotional state fell into despair. One of my neighbors asked how I was. He noticed a significant change in me and was genuinely worried about me. No longer could I give myself to anyone. The world did not seem to be one with the universe. I struggled to find trust in a higher power and had to work through my negative beliefs of social media so I could move forward in my life. Looking at where this image ends off in today's video makes me reflect on where it began. It began as a vague idea in the video Phase 1 of a Spiritual Awakening. It slowly grew and evolved, moving through what I would call spring or a birthing process, by the tapping of the green leaves with my finger to the smearing of the green paint into a full tree of midsummer. In this video, I began releasing energy by physically smushing oil pastels. My movements were quick and forceful. The movements helped to release energy. The tapping and smearing of paint for the leaves provided the same effect, as well as leaning into the image and holding myself on the moon and the tree. Sensation also played a role with the feeling of paint and oil pastels on my fingers and palms, but also the process of feeling the texture of the image, such as running my fingers over the moon and the circular lines of the oil pastels around the moon. The balance and symmetry of the image was important to me. How the leaves moved from one tree to the next, the space between the moon and the leaves, the outlining of the grass below the moon, it all had to be perfect. When working with an emphasis on line, shape, color, and symmetry, the process of reflection and evaluating the way the image makes one feel is present. All of this happens in the midbrain. At some point during the process, I realized that the tree to the left was Susan and the tree on the right is me. How the leaves move between both trees could be symbolic of our relationship, how we move and interact with one another. Here I'm moving into symbolism, the right side of the prefrontal cortex. Creating art as therapy is a process of learning the language of your unconscious. It's about shape, line, and color having meaning and communicating something to you. The journey is in the process. The final image is still unknown. The process here is for me to use line, shape, color to create images that have meaning, symbolism, and metaphor for the issues I'm exploring and the emotions I am moving through.